He thought flashing a fake badge would make her afraid. But when he drew his gun, he had no idea the woman standing on that porch was an FBI agent, and her entire unit was just one call away. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and tell us where you are listening. Your support means everything. It was a quiet, golden afternoon in the Maplewood neighborhood. Birds sang on the lampposts, and the sidewalks smelled faintly of jasmine from the nearby park. Amelia Parker had just returned from her morning run, still glowing with that easy calm that came with predictable days. Her husband, James, was pruning the roses by their porch, a routine he loved more than most things. They lived in a cul-de-sac where everyone waved but didn't pry. A little too quiet, maybe. That afternoon, a white SUV with neighborhood enforcement stickers on the side rolled slowly down their street. James noticed it first. He frowned. "We don't have a neighborhood enforcement unit," he murmured. Amelia shrugged. "Probably some contractor," she said. But something about the way the SUV stopped right in front of their house made the air feel heavier. A man in a black windbreaker with HOA security in bold letters stepped out. His mirrored sunglasses hid his eyes, but the way his jaw clenched said enough. He didn't look like a friendly neighbor. Amelia was halfway up the driveway when the man barked, "Ma'am, this property is in violation of HOA rules." She froze. "I think you have the wrong house," she said calmly. She knew the HOA board. She'd even attended meetings. No one ever sent armed security. The man strode closer, flashing what looked like a badge. It didn't quite match the professional ones she'd seen. "You're in violation of exterior maintenance regulations," he snapped. "We've issued warnings." James stepped beside his wife. "We never got any warning," he said firmly. The man ignored him. "I'll need you to step aside." His hand rested casually on his belt. The shape under his jacket made James tense up. A gun. HOA doesn't carry weapons, James thought. Amelia tilted her head slightly, studying him. Years in law enforcement had taught her to read people in seconds. His badge was fake. His stance was too rigid for a rent-a-cop. Something was very wrong. James took a step forward. "Sir, we can call the board president and clear this up." "Back up," the man barked, suddenly yanking his jacket aside. A black handgun gleamed in the sunlight. Amelia's heartbeat slowed, not quickened. It was the same calm she always felt before high-risk operations. But James stiffened in shock, instinctively raising his hands. "Now," the man growled, "you're going to let me inspect this property." Amelia's voice was cool. "You're not HOA security," she said. "And that's not how violations work." He flinched, clearly not expecting her to sound so composed. Her eyes flicked briefly at the side mirror of the SUV. No official plate, no dispatch radio, no second officer. Amateur, she thought. Dangerous amateur. Amelia slowly lowered her gym bag to the ground. "Let's talk about this," she said evenly. James glanced at her, confused, until he remembered Amelia wasn't just his wife. She was a senior field agent in the FBI's Criminal Investigative Division. She didn't brag, but this was what she did for a living. Her stance shifted almost imperceptibly. "Calm, centered, ready, sir," she said, projecting authority. "You're brandishing a firearm on private property. That alone is a federal offense." The man's grip tightened on the gun. His voice cracked. Just step back." "You don't want to do this," Amelia said quietly. "Whatever you think you're doing, it's already unraveling." James noticed it too. The man's hands were shaking now. Sweat formed under the brim of his cap. He wasn't in control. He was trying to convince himself he was. "Do you know who I am?" he blustered. "No," Amelia said. "But I know exactly what happens next if you keep that gun pointed at me." He glanced nervously up and down the street. A curtain moved in a neighbor's house. Someone was watching. James's phone buzzed in his pocket. Amelia gave him the subtle nod. He understood. "Call it in." He moved slowly, deliberately, as if scratching his pocket. The man saw it and panicked. "Don't," he shouted. James froze, but the call had already connected. Inside the SUV, the man's radio suddenly crackled. It wasn't law enforcement chatter. It was static and a voice with no call signs. That confirmed it for Amelia. This wasn't even a security operation. This was someone playing cop. She raised her voice slightly, knowing neighbors were listening. "Put the gun down," she said. "This ends clean if you do it now." A voice from across the street shouted, "We've called the real police." The fake cop spun around, his composure crumbling. "Nobody move." His voice cracked again. His threat was big, but his eyes told the truth. He didn't know how to handle what was happening. In the distance, sirens began to wail, a sound Amelia knew by heart. But these weren't just local police. She recognized the rhythm. Two black SUVs and a patrol unit tore down the street, stopping with practiced precision. The neighbors stepped back. A dog barked somewhere. The man stumbled, clearly not expecting such a fast response. Amelia finally spoke in the clipped, commanding tone James knew too well. "Federal agents are here. Drop the weapon." The man's breath hitched. "Federal." A woman in tactical gear stepped out of one of the SUVs. "Agent Parker," she called out. "We got your call." It was her own unit. She hadn't even realized James had dialed her emergency contact, not 911. The fake HOA cop's face went pale. He stepped back, gun wavering. "Drop it," one of the agents shouted. Amelia didn't move. She held his gaze. "You're done. Whatever game you were playing is over." His hands trembled. Then finally the weapon clattered to the ground. Two agents moved in, cuffing him with clean, practiced motions. He didn't resist. All the bluster was gone. James exhaled for the first time in minutes. Amelia walked toward him, and only then did he see her own hands trembling just slightly, not from fear, but from adrenaline. Later, in the quiet hum of their living room, Amelia's team briefed them on what they'd found. The man, Trevor Dallin, had a history of impersonating authority figures. He printed fake badges online, used an old decommissioned SUV, and targeted quiet neighborhoods. He'd even intimidated a few residents before. But this time, he had picked the wrong house. "You were his last attempt," the agent said. "He thought he could scare you into letting him search your home. He didn't know you were." "Well, you?" James managed a tired laugh. "Bad day to mess with this cul-de-sac." The next morning, the roses glistened again in the sun. Birds still sang. The SUV was gone, and the neighborhood buzzed with whispers of what had happened. But Amelia and James didn't join the chatter. They sat on their porch steps, holding hands. Amelia leaned against his shoulder. "You did good," she said softly. He smiled. "You did better." She laughed quietly. Occupational hazard. The neighbors would talk for weeks, maybe months. But underneath the gossip was something stronger, a sense of quiet pride. A fake HOA cop had thought he could control their street. He learned instead what happens when the wrong threat meets the right woman. And Maplewood would never forget that day.